This episode is brought to you by the Slash and Cast Podcast Network. There are legends around here.
Who died and made you fucking king of the zombies?
Even if only in their own minds. Forgotten, but not yet dead.
I want to play a game.
Some have tried to stop them, but they keep coming back.
Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out.
Coming to entertain you. They are the Crystal Lake Soldiers.
Welcome back to the Crystal Lake Soldiers podcast. My name's Isaiah, joined tonight by Mark and Sean. How are you guys doing this weekend?
Feeling good, man.
Doing pretty good.
Great. Well, glad to be here tonight. If you guys don't know, this is our 90th episode. We've made it this far since was the end of July of 2019. So working our way to episode 100. So that's exciting to know that we're 10 episodes away from that. I honestly didn't know if we would make it past the first fucking episode, but here we are almost 2 years later and 90 episodes in, so this is pretty exciting. But just to kind of start off here, speaking of it being like the 90th episode and whatnot, do you guys remember what our first episode was?
I don't, but I'm not the right guy to ask that. So.
Was it Rutger Hauer?
It was the week
cool.
that Rutger Hauer passed away, and so it was kind of a tribute episode to him. So that's how we started off our podcast. And it sounds like shit. I went back and listened to it today just to see how it sounds compared to now. Holy fuck. I don't know what we were thinking recording through PlayStation for that. But yeah.
It was convenient.
It was convenient, and we didn't know any better. But it sounds like shit. I mean, seriously, if you want a good laugh, if you want to hear me like stammering and like a lot, yeah, that's the perfect episode to listen to. But I mean, it was our first episode, so it was a good learning curve there for the first few months, especially because we used PlayStation to record for almost, God, I think 2 months.
We were using like gaming headsets and stuff.
Yep, it was fucking terrible. It sounded so bad, so horrible. I mean, there's just so much noise and distortion and just other shit going on. It's not a good listening experience. But if you want a good laugh,
I think my favorite of those early ones, man, and still probably one of my favorite ones, is when we did the stuff that would translate into the Saturday morning cartoon.
yes,
Yeah, the scare tunes.
Oh my God,
that was a great episode.
That is one of my personal favorites. Even if the sound quality isn't that great, that was a great discussion. And honestly, we should maybe look at revisiting that again at some point. So just to see if things have changed or what we would say differently. Maybe compare the what we had before as well. So that could be a lot of fun to do if we decide to go that route. So maybe stay tuned. That might be coming in a future episode. Who knows? But we're kicking off this month because it's the month of May and springtime. So we're going to be talking about spring-themed movies. So it's going to be our Spring is in the Air series. We're going to be kicking things off talking about Joe Dante's The Burbs from 1989 tonight. Before we get into all that, though, what have you guys been up to this week?
Well, I watched The Burbs for the first time in a while and had fun. And because of that, I have this DVD with that, and it also has Dragnet and The Money Pit on it. So I watched those two, man. That was a lot of fun. I really love The Money Pit.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever owned a house or been involved in that process, like, and had any problems, you can definitely appreciate the movie.
Yeah.
With Shelley Long, and they go through hell, man. Anyways. And I got my Arrow copy, Switchblade Sisters, so I watched that. It's freaking great. Great exploitation, tough girl gang flick. And I watched Lisa, which is one Ted mentioned a couple weeks ago, man.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He did mention that.
Yeah. It's a great little kind of thriller. I can't think of the damn girl's name. She played Dana on Step by Step. That girl. But anyways, it's a great movie. She's like a teenage chick, goes too far. Kind of stalking the older guy, and it ends up backfiring terribly. So something to check out, man. That's about it, dude. Pretty relaxed week, nothing too crazy. So
Nice.
Well, mine is, other than work, I've been doing a lot of just getting back into the comic book scene and watching that crazy shit going on with the damn Fortnite comic, and it's funny to me. It's yeah, because so many people will talk about how Fortnite's dead and how it sucks and nobody likes it, but DC drops the comic book with Fortnite and you can't find it anywhere because it's sold out everywhere.
Yes.
They're running third and fourth reprints, and those are selling out. So I mean, it's always been fascinating to me, like the psychology behind jumping on the bandwagon and hating on whatever's popular. It's always just the way people naturally do that. It's always been fascinating to me.
Doesn't matter how old a game gets either, man. If they're able to keep the content refreshing, like I actually didn't care for that Fortnite either, and now I play it all the time with my kids.
Same. When it first came out, I did not like it at all. And I think they got a great model with like the, whatever they got going on with the weekly and daily quests to keep coming back and playing more.
This time too, man, they got their little Fortnite crew thing. Well, I say little, but they got the Fortnite crew thing going on, and they add Save the World to it this month. So
yeah,
my kids were super excited. So.
Yeah, that was really cool. So because I had that on PlayStation, but not on Xbox or PC because you have to pay for each platform. But now I got it on all of them. Marvel started running a new Alien comic, and they're only on issue number 2 right now, so I jumped right on that. I'm a sucker for jumping on the first issue if I can get to it.
Yeah.
Especially when it's something big like Alien that I love. I bought a bunch of the damn variants.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you
and then
read it yet?
I haven't read it yet, dude. My read stack is so big.
That's how it gets when you get into comics, man. You start, like, I used to have a box, man, and if I missed like a week going up to pick up my box and going, I'd be like, fuck, what am I doing?
Yeah, well, nowadays it's online, so you don't even realize until you get a big old box at your house.
Right.
Like, oh, what did I do? DC also dropped the Batman and Scooby-Doo crossover. That's a 12 issue, and the artwork looks amazing. It's like regular Scooby-Doo artwork, but it's got a lot of like art styles from like Batman the Animated Series and a little bit older styles here and there. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Other than that and playing games, we watched a few movies. We watched the only memorable one was The Burbs. I don't remember what else we watched. Which it had been, I haven't watched that since I was real little, so it was like watching for the first time again, and it's such a good movie. Man. I don't know why it gets such bad ratings online. I don't understand it. I was watching it, and we'll get into it earlier, and I just had this crazy thought that it was like, it felt like the influence for this movie was to write an Addams Family movie from the perspective of the neighbors.
That's a very, very good observation, honestly.
But that's been my week.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, kind of going back to the Batman thing, because one of the things is, and this is just kind of a side note, it's not like something I did or anything, but, speaking of Batman, because they're now filming The Flash now, and, I saw an article, I think it was either yesterday or the day before, where they were posting pictures of Michael Keaton's Batman's, like, mansion. And I just fucking geeked out. I'm just like, yes, it's actually happening. We're going to have Michael Keaton back as Batman. I can't fucking wait. It's like Batman 89 is like my Batman movie. Because, I mean, I grew up with it. I watched that fucking thing hundreds, if not thousands of times. I mean, I used to be able to quote the whole movie, on a whim. So that was a huge part of my childhood. So having Michael Keaton back as Batman in the Flash movie is going to be like major for me. So
I think it's awesome, man. I'm glad they did that too.
Yeah,
those movies were the same for me. So.
Yeah, I hope that ends up like changing the direction that they're going with the actual Batman movies, because I do not agree with the past couple actors they've chosen.
Yeah. Well, supposedly and of course this is all rumor, is that Michael Keaton's going to be like a pivotal part going forward in the DC movies. That's at least the rumor currently. Whether or not that's changed in the last 6 months or whatever since they've been talking about it, who knows? But like they're talking like him being in like multiple movies and different movies, not just like
smart if they wanted to actually approach the whole older Batman and when he gets broken and maybe replacing him. It's a perfect opportunity.
Yeah, definitely.
Shout out that story if done right.
So. I think it's a great opportunity. Plus to get just Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne and Batman back is just fucking phenomenal. So I'm so looking forward to it. I'm like a totally geeking out when it comes to that. So that was fucking cool. That was a great way to start my vacation because I've been on vacation the whole week since last Friday because we're recording on Saturday the 1st. So I've been on vacation since the previous Friday. So honestly, I haven't watched a whole lot of movies. I did watch The Burbs. I rewatched 2 of the Trailer Park Boys movies, the original one, and then Countdown to Liquor Day. And then, I got caught up on Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I highly recommend if you haven't watched it. I fucking loved it. It was great.
That finale was awesome.
Oh my god, that finale was everything.
I love what they're doing with all these newer characters because the Falcon isn't like super new, but compared to like Captain America and all these other ones, he's pretty new.
It's not as well known either.
Yeah.
No, so with like Bucky and him and even the new Miles Morales and all these new characters, it feels like they're setting up for the next generation to keep the cinematic universe going.
Yes.
Once all these actors retire from the role. And I love that. I love the Falcon's characters in the comic books. And dude, his freaking costume in that finale was amazing.
It was great when he flew fucking in and when he said, I am, you know what? I mean, I fucking lost it. It was fucking great. It was so good.
There was like the not spectators, but the people watching all the action, and the one guy's like, "That's the Black Falcon," and the other guy's like, "No, that's Captain America." Oh, that was so good.
It was so his outfit looks so fucking badass too.
Yeah,
I mean, just with Wakanda like remaking his wings and everything and all that, and the whole outfit. I mean, just having the color too. Oh, it's so fucking cool. And then of course you had the other guy that was Captain America for the majority of the season.
The U.S. agent.
Yep, becoming the U.S. agent at the end and starting that whole thing. So, and him going batshit crazy in that fucking that whole season was fucking great. It, like just that whole progression of him just like finally caving under pressure and then taking the serum and everything and just basically becoming a psychopath. I mean, it was a great character transformation. So, yeah, I mean, it's only 6 episodes, so seriously, if you haven't seen Falcon and Winter Soldier, watch it. You could binge it literally in probably a day. I mean, it's that good. I fucking loved it. I can't say enough good about it. I don't think there's one like thing that was like that really hindered it, in my opinion. So
I thought that twist reveal at the end about who the power broker is was incredibly obvious.
Well, they hinted at it like
convince me. I'm gonna watch it, man. I'm gonna watch it.
Well, they had it the episode before it was revealed, and it's not like it was like
it was hinted at, right? It wasn't like revealed.
Well, she straight up said that she was in the previous episode.
Even before that, like I don't want to like ruin it for everybody, but I like even like early on, I was like, I'm pretty sure
obvious.
I know who
I'll
it
probably
is.
figure it out pretty quick.
You probably will.
It's super integral to the story.
No.
I just thought it could have been handled a little better on that.
Yeah.
That's something that takes a special talent to do because most people aren't good at hiding their little reveals.
Well,
Right.
sometimes they like directors like to add like little nods. So if you go back, you're like, I see what you did. But if you don't do it right, it like gives it away.
Yeah, exactly.
Precisely. Yeah. So yeah, all that to say, check out Falcon and Winter Soldier. Seriously,
It's great.
It's fucking great, and it's just more leading into where they're going with Marvel and everything. And Up next is the Loki show, so that's going to be interesting to see. And then Hawkeye's after that, and then of course we got Black Widow coming this year. So, and I think
Maybe.
Yeah, who knows? It could be pushed back again. And then I think it's the Eternals after that later this year, supposedly. So lots of stuff coming up from Marvel. I know we're a horror-focused podcast, but seriously, all this geek shit I love. So it's fucking great. I can't wait. So I definitely watched that this week. And then between the Burbs, the 2 Trailer Park Boys movies, and then Falcon and Winter Soldier, that's about all I really watched, other than, Joe Bob, because I did watch Joe Bob, so Bride of Reanimator and Next of Kin last night I watched. But besides that, it's just been mostly video games, so that's been a lot of video games this week. So honestly, it's been kind of relaxing with that, just being able to just game and just take a week and not be at work. So, I mean, it did its job. I mean, I feel more refreshed now going back into work tomorrow. So
it ended up better than Tom Hanks' vacation.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So we're going to get to that here shortly. Before we do, there is just a couple pieces of news I just wanted to touch on, and I know you got some Blu-ray stuff, so we'll hit that at the end. So David Cronenberg actually has a new movie that's being prepared to be shot here this summer called Crimes of the Future. And actually, I guess it's a project that's been years in the making, I guess. So it's, from what they're saying, is it's supposed to be like a return to his more body horror type stuff. So it could be interesting to see where this is going to go with him getting back behind in the director's chair for like the first time. I think it's been like 7 years since he's directed a movie. So,
and he's good with his body stuff. So.
Yes, he definitely is.
I love the effects in his movies. A lot of his movies aren't as good as like his hits. Like I think The Fly is like creme de la creme.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm all about it. I mean, can't wait to find out more about it. If we do, it'll probably be a while.
Yeah, about the only other thing that was that's been announced for the movie is Viggo Mortensen is going to be starring in the movie. So
pump him for information at Texas Fright, man.
Well, I don't think he's going to be there now, because I think he changed because now they got Corey Taylor being there, like as the main like headline. Yeah, I know. I was totally bummed when they took his name off the thing.
I'm not gonna lie, it does suck if that was the situation, but the 90s kid in me is super stoked about meeting Corey Taylor.
Yeah. I'm kind of indifferent. I never really gotten to their music,
Slipknot. So I absolutely love Slipknot still.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just never got into it personally, so it was kind of like a downgrade for myself. But I mean, it is what it is.
No, sure.
As long as I can still get my picture with CJ and hopefully Alice Cooper, that's all I care about. If Alice Cooper's still going to be there, because he's still pending. He's pending confirmation.
Still pending, man. Every time I look, it's like,
I hope he's going to be there.
I would rather meet Alice than Corey Taylor.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
As far as music goes,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be great to have CJ and him there.
Mm-hmm. Because I know CJ's supposed to be doing In Costume Part 6 photos,
Yep.
So that's going to be awesome. It'd be great for all of us to get a podcast photo with CJ. That would be great.
Heck yeah.
Hell yeah. Kind of moving on from there, though. So just a little bit of a tidbit regarding David Cronenberg directing a movie again here for the first time in quite a few years. Saw is obviously coming up in less than 2 weeks for release.
Yes.
Tickets are actually now on sale on Fandango, so if you want to get tickets now, you can through Fandango if you plan on seeing it in the theaters. I am super pumped. I mean, less than 2 weeks until I'm in the movie theater seeing that fucking movie. At this point, it will be the first movie I go back to see in the theaters. So I can't wait for Spiral. I mean, they keep releasing like little clips of it, and it just keeps getting me more and more excited. And
I'm trying to stay away from all the spoilers. And
I have too, man. I watched the clips.
I watched the one trailer, and that's good enough to make me want to go see it.
Yep, I was doing the same thing, man. I want to go in virgin on it.
So, right. Yeah. I definitely understand that. So Spiral is May 14th is its release, and I'm super pumped for that. Can't wait. I'm going to see it on that Thursday night. Guaranteed I'm going on that night to see it. I don't fucking care. I'm going, damn it. But kind of moving on from there, another anniversary is Ilphonics celebrated the 1-year anniversary of Predator Hunting Grounds, which, I mean, like it or not, that I just find it hard to believe it's already been a year since that fucking game was released.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
So they for their anniversary thing, they released some new DLC, and they got a Steam release finally. So it's finally coming to Steam for those that don't like the Epic Game Store. So that's exciting. And I guess the new DLC is a new map called the Airstrip, I think is what it was. And so it'll be interesting to see what that's like. But that's all coming in June. So with the 1-year anniversary coming up. So stuff to look forward to, especially if you still play the game. I still pop in every once in a while. I don't play it nearly as much, though, just because obviously there isn't many of our group that plays it. So it's kind of one of those things where I'll pop in, but if I'm not playing with somebody, it doesn't last long.
Yeah, I played it with my 4-year-old about 3 weeks ago. She has a slight Predator obsession, even though she's only 4.
Yeah, I haven't.
It's because of Fortnite.
Since the last time we were all on, and man, that was a long time ago.
That's been quite a while.
I think the game was still new.
It was probably a few months old. Yeah, so it's been probably about 6 or 7 months since we all played together. At the very least. I can't believe it's this whole year. I mean, it's been a long last year, but it's also gone by kind of quick with regards to some stuff. I mean, to think that we were supposed to have been in Texas Frightmare over a year ago, so
insane, man.
It is insane. The last piece of news I really had for tonight, and it's actually kind of surprising, is Twilight of the Dead. So Romero actually started writing the treatment for Twilight of the Dead before he actually passed away. I didn't even know that he was starting to write it, because I know that was originally what Land of the Dead was supposed to be. But he actually started writing the treatment for Twilight of the Dead with, who was he writing it with? Paulo Zalotti, I think is his last name, how you say it. So he was writing the treatment with this person for Twilight of the Dead before he passed away. And what had ended up happening is after he passed, they wanted to continue producing that into an actual full script. And so Susan Romero let him basically write the rest of the script. And she feels that George would be extremely happy with it. And so they're actually moving forward with actually trying to finish this project. So they're actually trying to actually get the funding and get this project off the ground to create basically George's final zombie movie.
Very cool, man. Awesome.
Yes.
Between that and the work his son's doing in literature and stuff, it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. And so basically what Susan Romero was saying is that the story is set in obviously a decimated world. Life has all but pretty much disappeared. But also saying that there's still maybe hope for humanity. So that's kind of the overarching story with Twilight of the Dead. So
I will say one thing, though. It's entirely humongous shoes to fill, so probably won't live up to our expectations. Yeah, that's what I'm still excited to.
I'm excited for it, but anytime something with this specific situation happens, I feel like it very rarely lives up. Because even if it was like mostly or even entirely written by George won't be there when it's being made, so it won't have that. I mean, it could still, but I don't know if it'll end up being the same movie, whether it's good or bad. But I am excited for it because I love George Romero's zombies. My number one favorite horror movie of all time is Night of the Living Dead. I think George Romero is the godfather of zombie movies.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm excited for it, but I'm not going to put my expectations too high on it.
Well, the thing with this for me is the Romero zombie movies are my favorites for most horror movies. Obviously, I love like Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff like that, but as a whole, the first three Romero movies and even Land to an extent they're my favorite zombie movies, bar none. But also just some of my favorites in general, and the fact that also with this, Susan Romero is saying that she gave her full blessing to do this as long as she's along every step of the way to make sure that it remains to George's vision, basically. So she wants to make sure that if they do this, it's how he would have done it. So that gives me hope that they're going to do this right. And then, the guy that wrote it with George is working with Joe Netter and Robert L. Lucas to finish the project. So they've got people working on this, and she's going to be along the way to help basically guide it to make sure it would have been what George would have done. So that does give me hope for the project. So. But that this whole story just kind of came out of left field. And I was at first I'm like, this is because when I first saw it, it was on Facebook and it was We Got This Covered. I'm like, there's no fucking way this is true then because it's We Got This Covered. But no, then Bloody Disgusting was covering it and other resources were covering it. So I mean, it's a real thing, totally out of nowhere, and it's got me happy and hopeful to get this movie made. So
film it in Pittsburgh,
right? Move it back to where it should be, damn it. Yes, I agree. So very, very exciting. So with that's what I had for news for tonight. And I know you have some Blu-ray stuff you wanted to bring up here.
Yes, man. It's coming up this Tuesday. You cannot miss out. Cool as Ice, starring Vanilla Ice. We're all waiting for that one. So no, that is not the Blu-ray news, even though that is a release. But King Kong, we've talked about it before, but it's coming out the 11th, man. Shudder still had, last time I checked, which was 2 days ago, they still had pre-orders with the poster available if people are interested in that. So it's the 76 version of King Kong, which is my favorite. So I actually have that on pre-order. So, and also on the 11th is Fast Times at Ridgemount High and Saw get their 4K releases. And the Fast Time at Ridgemount, it's like a big special edition, man.
Really
nice.
Features,
so
yes, definitely worth checking out. It's got a cool front to it. It looks like almost like a high schooler's notebook or something.
Nice. Okay.
And then on the 18th, you got Last Action Hero and Animal House getting their 4K releases.
Oh, yes. Hell yes.
Yeah, like Animal House has several different versions, man. So, like, I don't know what's on each one. I didn't look them up, but it's definitely worth investigating. And Day of the Animals gets its Blu-ray release finally. So,
okay.
And Charmed, if anybody's into that, which I'm not, but I know some people like that show. Charmed, the complete series, is getting a release. I think that's from Mill Creek, so those are usually better price sets.
Okay.
And then the 25th, you got Birds and Psycho getting their 4K releases.
Nice.
And Body Slam, which we talked about before, on June 15th is finally up for pre-order. It's running around $16.50 right now, so it's a great movie. And don't forget, at the end of the month is the Vinegar Syndrome.
I was just about to say, because I remembered about that. And that's their big halfway to Black Friday sale. 50% off most things.
Halfway subscription and Six String Samurai, Surf 2.
Hell yes.
A bunch of mystery titles, man. So it should be
and because I got their insider email, or not insider email, but like the subscriber email. They're talking about 4 more slips being released too. So there's going to be some new slips for some movies that didn't have slips before. So if you are into collecting the slip covers, that's going to be the day or the weekend you want to check out. Is that Memorial Day weekend is when they do it. So, or halfway to Black Friday. So be on the lookout for that. That's coming at the end of the month, definitely, because there's going to be a lot of good deals going on, plus new slips, new releases. There's just a lot of shit, just like Black Friday. So
yeah, I'm going to be gone that weekend, man, but I'm definitely going to be stealing somebody's Wi-Fi so I can access that.
Yep. Hell yeah. Fuck yes. I can't wait. I've got my credit card ready to go. It's all clean, clean and ready. No balances currently. So, I'm gonna rack up a good chunk of change there. I usually do on these fucking sales, even though I keep thinking I've bought like everything I want from them, other than what I get through the subscription. But then I always find something else, and then I end up spending hundreds of dollars on these sales. So I mean, it'll be a good weekend for me to lose some money, but that's all right. Keep growing my collection. That's what matters.
That's what matters in life, man.
Exactly. All right, are we ready to talk about the Burbs?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's take a look at Joe Dante's The Burbs.
All Tom Hanks wanted was a quiet vacation at home.
This is what I need, Carol. I need this.
Welcome to Mayfield Place. A typical street in the Burbs.
Morning, Walter.
Where nothing much ever happened.
Walter's dog just took a dump on Rumsfield's lawn again.
Until the Klopeks moved in.
Klopex?
Klopex.
Klopek.
No one goes in, no one comes out.
Neighbors from hell.
It was a nice place to live.
He said he thinks the Klopeks are evil incarnate.
Well, you're much too smart to fall for that, aren't you, honey?
But now,
Carol.
you wouldn't want to visit there.
Ray. This is Walter.
The Burbs.
I'm going over the fence, and I'm not coming back till I find a dead body.
Ray, do you want him to take your family, kidnap them, tear their livers out, and make some kind of satanic pate? We found Walter!
We got a real problem.
I hit the gas line, I'd run!
God, I love this street.
Tom Hanks.
I think we are overreacting.
No!
The Burbs. It's one hell of a neighborhood.
Hey, honey, I think we should move.
All right, The Burbs was released on February 17th, 1989, obviously directed by Joe Dante. It has the cast of Tom Hanks, Carrie Fisher, Bruce Stern, Corey Feldman, and then Henry Gibson. This had a budget of about $18 million and grossed a little over $49 million worldwide. Just a couple little tidbits regarding the movie itself before we get started talking about it. Walter's toy poodle Queenie was actually the same dog that played Precious in Silence of the Lambs, and that dog was actually in quite a few movies, from what I remember. I don't remember what other movies it was in, but it was used quite a bit during that time frame.
That poor dog.
I know.
Hard to find a well-trained dog that'll listen all that direction, man. So I imagine the few that do get used a lot.
Yep. And then next is the street that the movie takes place on was actually on Universal's back lot. It's actually been used in a lot of different films and television shows, including like Desperate Housewives. Some of the like houses and buildings have changed over time. The only house that actually still stands that was in the movie is Walter's house. Otherwise, everything else has changed. Which I thought,
believe it or not. Oh, sorry, man, I'm going to cut you off. The original set was built from when they brought the Leave It to Beaver show back. That was,
I believe it. Yeah. Yeah, so that's really crazy to think that one of those houses is still there on the back lot. So I thought that was pretty cool. Tom Hanks actually improvised the scene where he picks up the gurney and puts himself in the ambulance, which is fucking hilarious, by the way.
My favorite part of the whole fucking movie.
It's just so like he's just so done with everything, and he's just like freaking out. It's so good.
I've been blown up. Just take me to the hospital.
Just throws himself on the gurney inside of the ambulance.
Like some little boy laying in his bed.
That's what it looks like. Oh, and Carrie Fisher talking to him. You want me to follow you to the hospital? Yeah. Okay, honey. So good. And then finally, the last thing I had is just Wendy Shaw, who plays Bonnie Rumsfeld in the movie, also voices Francine Smith on American Dad. And she said that she got the job on American Dad because Seth MacFarlane is such a huge fan of the film. So that's why she ended up getting that job on American Dad. So I thought that was kind of cool, too.
I have one more piece, man, that I
Sure.
thought was kind of funny. Is Corey Feldman was really close with Michael Jackson at the time, and Michael Jackson didn't come to the set, but from what I understand, Bubbles, the chimpanzee, was quite the frequent guest. But because of the problems with the chimpanzee, he had to be confined to Corey Feldman's trailer. And when he would come back from shooting, the trailer would be torn up and covered with feces, and it became such a problem that Joe Dante eventually banned Bubbles from the set. So
That's funny. God, that's so good. So with this movie, I fucking love this movie. So I've been a fan of this movie since I was really little. Like, this was the first Joe Dante movie I ever saw. And I fucking love Joe Dante's movies. But this one's by far my favorite just because it was my first one that I saw of his. And it's just got that quirky, it's a family-friendly movie, but at the same time, it's got the scary aspect too. So it's like a good comedy horror, movie that you can actually introduce like little kids to and stuff. And I just like the whole just feeling of this movie. It's just like so like it's kind of slapstick. At the same time, you got some of the scares in there, and it's just overall, it's just so good because
I think it's
Joe Dante.
And ridiculous, kind of over the top, but it's real though, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
As over the top as it is, like the person who wrote this definitely grew up in suburbia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I mean, without this movie, you wouldn't have movies like Disturbia or the Summer of '84, movies like that were all inspired by this movie. And speaking of a lot of the names we've been talking about, I think that $18 million budget was all in casting because this movie is so
man. That's what I thought. I was like, wow, what a cast. I forgot. How many great people in this.
Yeah.
Even Dick Miller.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fucking Dick Miller. I forgot to put his name down. I was trying to remember to put his name down because I don't care if he's like only on there for a few seconds. Anytime Dick Miller's in a fucking movie, you mention him because he's that fucking good. So
it helps the rating of this movie.
Exactly. there's the regular movie rating, then you got the Dick Miller like up rating, basically.
Guaranteed 1 star.
Right.
I have to say my favorite, but also least favorite character in this movie is Art.
Yes.
When he first shows up and eats them out of house and home at breakfast, and
I loved it. It was great because, and that was like the ongoing joke for him. Was like, man, I'm starving every 5 seconds.
It's hilarious too when his wife shows up at the end. The whole movie, I thought he was just some bachelor idiot in the neighborhood.
Right. My
like,
wife's
are
home.
You gonna eat those eggs?
God, it's so good. Him going into their fridge, to put the empty bottle of syrup back, to grab a full bottle, plus some ribs, plus, whatever else he grabbed. I mean, he's such a fat ass. I mean, and it's just so good. And they're just like, just sitting there, just taking it like this is like a normal occurrence for Art.
That's what I thought. I was like, they must buy a lot of food and just don't care.
I like the scene when the two of them are in the basement and they're talking about what they think is going on with the neighbor and talking about what's in their basement. And he says something, I remember what he says, but Art's like, you listen to your wife? Who listens to their wife?
Well, he's like, you're chanting.
Satan is good. Like, Satan is my pal.
Good. Satan is our friend.
Satan is our pal.
I'm gonna kill everyone. Satan is good. Satan is our pal.
I understand that was ad lib. Like a lot of this, they were able to improvise and ad lib in this movie, which is great, man. I think that helps any movie.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially when you're working with a bunch of comedians in the movie and they're used to improvising. Sometimes you just got to let them go. I mean, like, for instance, like anytime, Robin Williams, I mean, how many times has he improvised in movies and they've kept, shit in there and have like different cuts of movies, just from all the shit that he's done. So it's just really good, especially when you have good comedians that know what they're doing, that can ad lib like that and just make like memorable moments like that. With the whole chanting thing and just different things like that. So it's so good.
How about them arguing too over who should go up and ring the door?
Yeah, they were
like
like
a bunch
kids.
of children.
Yeah.
There's several moments too like that. It's like they're the little boys of the neighborhood.
Yep.
The wife won't let him come outside, and they're saying like, "Oh, please let him come out." Art even like kind of twist his foot inside a little bit, like
kick the rock.
I think I said what I meant, guys.
Not until he resembles the man that I married.
I like the one little scene where it was a little more slapstick was when the guy with the mutton chops came out of the house for the first time, and then they did that thing where they zoomed in on everybody's face with a shocked look, and when they're done, they zoomed in on the dog's face.
Oh, one of my favorite scenes that always makes me laugh is like when Tom Hanks' character is in the backyard trying to take the nap, and Art comes up after he put the note under the door at the Klopex, and then you got the Vince the dog bringing the bone, and Art starts throwing the bone, just not noticing that it's a fucking femur, and then they realize the femur, and then they're talking about it, and then they say, "Oh, it's Walter," and then they do the whole zoom in, zoom out thing. That gets me every time. That's always got me. I just laugh so hard every time. I don't care how many times I've seen that movie. That
I just
scene
imagine trying to film that scene. I was like, that had to be fun,
right? It's just so crazy. It's just so good.
How about Corey Feldman in this movie? I thought he was. This is probably one of my favorite iterations of Corey Feldman.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's great, man. It takes me back to the neighborhood I used to live in when I first got to Virginia, and how I kind of felt about my neighborhood, man. Like, it was fun just to kind of walk around the neighborhood and experience all the ridiculous bullshit going on.
Yep.
Just like, God, I love this place.
They were throwing the party because they knew a bunch of crazy shit was going to go down.
Yep.
And the guys were like, we're all going to go get some food. He's like, you don't got to go anywhere. I just called the pizza dude. Yeah!
Bruce Dern's fall off the roof. Oh my God. Oh. That was a great fucking fall, by the way.
Yeah, it was. Hey, Rumsfeld, dude.
Rumsfeld. That's what happened to Donald Rumsfeld, man.
He was checking out the one guy's wife while she was out doing the...
I would too.
Something about the tails.
No tan lines this week or something.
Yeah.
She was loving it.
Yeah. He didn't.
No. Yeah.
He said something like that kid's a meathead or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. That's the way it goes sometimes.
Right? God, and then Walter at the end of the street with his perfect lawn, always having the chemical guys come out to spray his lawn, and then sending off his dog to shit in Rumsfeld's
yard. Purposely shitting people's yard. Yeah.
What a dickhead. Such a dickhead.
On that. I love though that once they thought he was dead, though, they were all in to try to find out who killed him and why he's gone.
Right.
I mean, I think it had more to do with the neighbors than Walter, but still.
Yeah, it wasn't about Walter. It was about, what if I'm next?
Right.
I do like when Tom Hanks, he's like, no one knocks off an old man in my neighborhood. And gets away with it.
God, Tom Hanks in this movie is just so whipped by his wife. It's great.
And his frustration sometimes, like, God. It's like I didn't understand this movie as much as I do now, but I don't know if that's good or not. When Art comes and he's laying on the back porch, that was a good moment that I could identify with. And he's like, I'm just laying here. I just want to take a fucking nap.
I'm just laying here. My eyes are shut. I'm just trying to get some rest. Because that whole thing with the bone happens, then he's running to try to run inside, and Carrie Fisher hits him right in the face with the fucking door. just
crushes some more beer cans.
Right? You want to just talk about a bad day. He's really having a fucking bad day at that point.
Oh, man.
So good. Oh, this movie makes me laugh so much. I fucking love this movie so much. And then when you finally meet the Klopex and everything, well, first you have Hans coming out to grab the paper, and everybody's just fucking staring at him. He's like, the guy's just like, oh no, coming out in the middle of the day for the first time, and the whole neighborhood's just out there, just looking.
Like the first time he'd been out in a while. Period.
Mm-hmm.
He was out there shoving a conspicuous trash bag into the can.
Yep.
And he was just beating it into that can. The only thing I could think the whole time is like, man, the garbage man ain't going to take that because it's going to get stuck in the trash can.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to leave that shit there. But Dick Jones is a special kind of trash guy, man.
I like the scene in the rain where they were all out digging.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way they did that, it was, I don't know, kind of goofy, but also it had a really good creepy factor to it.
Yeah. It reminded me of something out of like a 70s horror flick of some hooded figures digging in the back.
Yeah.
Digging the grave.
Yeah. It was really good.
It was like maybe they're digging graves for all their neighbors.
It kind of fit into, I don't know if that's right after or close to the time when he was watching the movies on TV.
Yep.
It's like Race with the Devil and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Mm-hmm. That's when he has his nightmare where he's being barbecued.
Yeah.
And the chanting comes back. The Satan is good. Satan is their pal. I'm going to kill everyone.
That was a great scene. Like, he gets up out of bed and he goes down the stairs and the chainsaw just comes out of the wall.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So good. Then having Art dressed up as Skip, from telling the story from like the night before.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Oh God, there's just so
I love
much.
it because he's almost kind of the evil one, extra evil in that dream, and I feel like even Tom Hanks knows like none of this would be going on if Art was
Yeah, that was like his
leave me alone.
subconscious. Like,
Right.
I hate this person.
Yes.
It's all his fault.
Yep.
If he hadn't dared me to go knock on the door in front of the whole neighborhood.
Yeah.
God, it's so good. Then when you finally meet the Klopeks and they go over for, bring the brownies and everything. I think by far Ruben's my favorite of the Klopeks. He's just so angry and just so like small and just like
He's staring a hole through Tom Hanks, man.
They were all there like they were hosting like the neighbors over.
Mhm.
And the guy brought out sardines and fucking
pretzels.
And of course the wife looks at Tom Hanks. Yes, yeah,
Well,
you
better
eat
take one.
Oh, it's so
That was
gross.
great, too. You got to hear it crunch and
They made it extra crunchy too, just to make it that much grosser. It was
yeah.
great.
Bruce Dern pressing for information.
Hans, that's a Christian name, isn't it? Hans Christian Andersen.
Oh man, good stuff.
He's like, Klopek, is that Slavic? No. Ruben's just very matter of fact and just angry about it. Oh God! And then the dog gets out, and Art's out there after he fucking gets over the fence to.
He's like, the doctor's like, is it another neighbor? He's like, yes, the fat one.
Oh, it's so good.
How about when this is close to them, but the house blowing up? I thought that was a great explosion scene, man.
Oh my God, it was like the perfect explosion scene. It was so well done. It was great.
And they were all worried about Tom Hanks, and it like lingers on the house, and then all of a sudden he just slowly walks out, like he's just had it. He's like, I'm just done with this.
You can see the way he's barely picking up his feet.
He's like
slides down the 3 steps,
completely defeated.
I've been blown up.
Breaking and entering, blew up their house.
And the cops like, your neighbor Walter says that you kidnapped his dog and you're under arrest.
And they were trying to be nice. No.
And all he can think of is
he wrote Walter, I have your dog.
Yeah.
Like a ransom note.
I just love that the cops were sitting there listening off all the crimes that he committed, and then he just looks at his wife and he's like, I like your hair. You got it cut, didn't you? And just like at the end where his whole speech about how basically that they're the monsters, and obviously we find out that they actually were monsters and were killing people and stuff, but just kind of like how they were acting towards the neighbors just because they were a little different and whatnot. So they had that whole speech in there about it.
Yeah, I love that speech actually, because I mean, without them actually becoming the monsters at the end of the Olympics or whatever, in reality, that is the truth. And most of that shit is the cliquish neighborhood party group or whatever it is that gets along. They sit and they chastise, judge, and do all that shit on. So anybody that moves in the neighborhood that isn't normal or is from out of town, all that, is going to be looked at almost as that weird, freakish, what the fuck is going on with them people kind of thing. So.
Exactly. But then, of course, you got Henry Gibson getting into the fucking ambulance with Tom Hanks at the end there, and basically revealing that you saw the skulls in the furnace. And then, you know, Hans tries to drive away with him in the back of the ambulance, and that turns into a whole struggle and ends up running into Art's house, which is great. And then the gurney coming out in the back with them struggling with the syringe, with Henry Gibson and Tom Hanks struggling with the syringe. That was great. And it's like, citizen's arrest! Citizen's arrest! I'm putting you under citizen's arrest!
I like to. The cops are also relaxed through all this too, man. Like they're just letting these guys they're about to arrest just walk around and talk about it and shit. And then all that happens. He's like, "Is this your car, sir?"
And he just stares like, "Oh."
I guess we got to arrest these guys instead.
Right. And Art's wife comes home, which was great.
Yeah. That was so surprising to me because I really just thought he was some idiot old bachelor in the neighborhood. I might have missed them mentioning his wife because
they mentioned it once, like one time, and that was it. That his wife was out on a trip or something.
He just seemed so loose and out of control. Like, but that's why.
Exactly.
Your wife ain't around. He can act however he wants. I like when he was giving him the speech about how when he gets out of prison he was going to fix up the house for him.
Yep.
His wife's dad got him some tools. That little tiny red box of tools.
I thought that was funny too when Art comes over and he's like, "Hey, look, I got this box of tools." The man just like had no clue what to do with his life because he wasn't at work, so he was just
right.
Like, "Hey, I got these tools. Men like tools."
Kind of how I felt when I went on my vacation. I just didn't know what to do with myself. Honestly. Oh, so good. Yeah, overall, like I said, this is probably my favorite Joe Dante movie out of all of them. I mean, obviously, I've loved most of Joe Dante's work, so I mean,
I do too, man. Like, I didn't realize until I got into like actually knowing who makes movies and whatnot, but I like a lot of his stuff. Inner Space is one that people never bring up. That's one of my favorites growing up. So
yeah,
and Gremlins is great. Gremlins too.
Yep.
He's done a few episodes, written for a couple of these. Like, pretty sure he did one of what was that series they did with all the directors, man, on Showtime? Masters of Horror.
Yep.
So definitely, he's good at horror. He has that sense of humor that doesn't ruin the horror either.
Yep.
And he also knows when he's making a comedy and how to throw just enough horror and not ruin the comedies.
Exactly. I love it. So just to kind of wrap things up here, what would you guys rate this movie if you were to give it a rating?
I'm going to give this one 4.5 out of 5, man, because of the Dick Miller factor.
Nice.
Gets a 4, but I'm giving him an extra half star.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. A 4.5 out of 5. It's so funny. It's so fun. I might put it in, since I haven't first time watching so long. I might put it in my yearly rotation.
Nice. Yeah, Burbs is definitely. I watch that about once every few months. I just love that. I love the movie that much. This one's definitely a 5 out of 5 for me, and that's not even with the Dick Miller factor. I mean, if I could go higher than a 5, I definitely would because of Dick Miller. But I fucking love this movie. It's my favorite Joe Dante movie, and it's just such a fun, like, easy.
The dick, man.
Exactly. It's just such a fun, great movie, and you've got a great cast that really works well together, and it's so hilarious because it does remind me of The Suburbs in a lot of ways. And it's just because growing up in the suburbs, you see a lot of this shit with the nosy neighbors and everything else, and just kind of weird shenanigans that go on. So it's like a perfect representation of that. And then you got the great comedy, and then some of the horror aspect into it. It's just fucking fun. That's really what it is. It's a fun fucking movie. Definitely check it out if you haven't. We would love to know what you guys think if you have seen the movie. Feel free to reach out to us through our social media. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at CLS Podcast. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Like I said, this month we're going to be focusing on spring-themed horror movies, and so spring is in the air. So come back next week and see what we got. But as we leave here, are there any final words?
Yes, if you got a weird new neighbor move into your neighborhood, mind your own business. Because if you start paying attention to them, they might start paying attention to you.
Exactly,
man. I stay invisible as fuck all the time.
Right? You never know if they are a deranged serial killer. You don't want them to know that you know.
Exactly.
My neighbor said that to my wife once. He's like, "Where's Sean at? I ain't seen him in a couple months." I was like, "Oh yeah, I love it." Yeah, man. I actually got something to say. I heard a couple people recently giving a little hate to the original Ghostbusters, and I was like, "Wow, man." So I just wanted to say, if you don't like the original Ghostbusters, just remember that backwards it spells Sretsobsog, which makes no fucking sense, and neither does your opinion. So.
I think I saw that on Facebook and I fucking loved it.
Yeah, I stole it.
It's good though.
It's not a Sean P. original. Sorry.
Still good though. It's a great way to end the episode. All right. Well, we appreciate you guys once again checking out this week's episode, and we will see you guys next week.
This episode of the Crystal Lake Soldiers podcast is brought to you by the Slash and Cast Podcast Network. Check us out at www.clspodcast.com or join in the conversation on social media. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all at CLS Podcast. Until next time, stay safe, campers.